Hey, did you actually know there's a formula that you can use to win your wife's affection back? Now, I spent years perfecting it, but I'll break it down to you in minutes in this video. It is based on science and thousands of years of understanding female psychology. And this man followed it.
We hold hands, we talk, she engages me, she'll send me messages. So our little pet names, she finally started calling me Mr. C again. She used to call me Mr. C, you know? I'd say, hi, sweetheart, I'm on the way home. Do you need anything? And she'd say, nope, just you, Mr. C.
Oh.
You know, and a little heart emoji. So I haven't got the heart emoji, but I've got, hi, Mr. C. How you? So she's still not wearing her rings, but yeah, we sleep together. We've had intimacy together.
So in this video, I'll show you a 4-step mastery formula to unlock that affection you've been missing from your wife for far too long. So if you're tired of getting that cold demeanor where the very thought of even asking for a hug makes your heart race from the possible rejection, then listen on, because her insults and criticisms will morph into playful names. She'll go from no interest in you to having the best interests at heart. And speaking of heart, you will win hers back, opening the door to intimacy and real connection again. And let me just say, the third step involves a harsh reality that you're gonna have to face one way or another. You can't avoid it. But the man brave enough to go into the hardness first will come out on the other end with more peace and passion. Think of those heated arguments followed by days of silence, right? Instead, what happens is creating a heartfelt connection followed by a fun night out.
We went out and went to the movie and had a great time.
That's amazing.
Instead of it being this fucking volcano and not talking to each other for 3 days.
The difference is pretty much night and day. So let's jump in. Now, before Terry turned his marriage around, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, he was panicking.
It just dawned on me as I'm talking to you. I'm sitting in the same parking lot I was sitting in February 1st when I was fucking petrified. I'm 57 years old and I do not want to start my life over.
Of course he didn't want to start over at 57, right? You see, both Terry and his wife shared a lot in common. So at the beginning, they really hit it off.
I met my wife, Dawn, 5 years after our divorce was final. She has her 2 kids. I have my 2 kids. You know, all we see is floaty hearts. She went through a painful divorce. I went through a painful divorce. We both had mutual respect.
But floaty hearts gave way to grounded realities and in the routine and years that followed. With lots of ups and downs in their marriage, as you can surely relate to. But it was when tragedy struck that everything came to the surface and something unsettling inside Terry revealed itself. Something that depletes attraction like a deflated balloon.
The key point now is her mom just passed away. And that's when this avalanche of stuff started coming out. She started really like having expectations and expressing her feelings to me. And she didn't before. And, you know, truthfully, I did not grow up during that time frame. In the first CLC report, it was a joke about me being the 5th child. And you know what? I really, at times, I know I was more of a responsibility to her than a partner.
There's only so much responsibility a wife can carry on her shoulders, especially if her husband is adding that weight. And Terry's wife felt discounted and dismissed one too many times until she finally just had enough.
And it was a work-related incident. She pops a cork. I want a divorce. I want out of the company. We work together in the landscape company. Sure. And so she picked a date of April 1st, her and her therapist. So everything was firm.
The drop of the D word flipped Terry's world upside down. So naturally, he would try anything to fix it. They both tried marriage counseling, but all that produced was a funny story.
I did do outside help, a therapist. We went to therapy. They erupted sometimes. My wife walked out of one of them, walked all the way home, like 2.5 miles or something. She walked all the way home.
With therapy falling short, Terry had 2 months to change something, anything big enough to stop her from leaving. That's when he came across my videos, reached out to me, and applied the formula I'm about to break down right now. This first step is an action that triggers a chemical reaction and that trigger of attraction in her brain. Now, when Terry figured this out, he called it the biggest breakthrough of the entire program. Here it is in his words.
Now I can meet my wife at her emotions. I would say that's the single biggest breakthrough for me. I don't have to take anything she says personally. I can hold my framework. I can remain unperturbed. I can see it for what it is. It's for her, it's an expression of her emotions. Right. It has nothing to do directly with me most of the time. Yeah, she can be aggravated with me, but the emotion, I can, you understand what I mean?
I do. Terry is talking about contextual empathy. He was able to meet his wife on her emotional state and sit with those emotions instead of trying to logically dismantle them, right? The key is to just listen and understand what she's speaking about, to see the pain behind all of that rage, right? To recognize the emotions and then validate those emotions. And most of all, don't take things personally, okay? That's the biggest mistake that I think you're making. See, when you react defensively to what she's saying, that's just straight up childlike behavior. You're going to your emotional mind. And I get it. I've been guilty of it myself so many times with my partner. And old Terry could have written a book on reaction, right? How often he would do that. I mean, but at this point, he's mastered the idea of contextual empathy. He's owning every interaction with his wife. And it's no wonder she is falling for him again because of that. Listen to the conversation they had.
I'll give you like one very poignant conversation we had probably 3 weeks ago, talking about all this stuff. And my daughter Allison works with us. Her boyfriend Caleb is my operations manager. Anyway, we're talking about work stuff. And then Dawn says to me how she's taught, over the summer and late summer, and she's thinking about our marriage and, thinking about how scary it's going to be to go on my own, or do I just settle for less and be unhappy in this marriage? So old me, defend, somehow justify, somehow explain. No, Terry just sat there. I listened. I turned my body. I looked at her. I engaged with her. And I said exactly this. Wow, that's pretty scary. Those are some scary emotions. That must have, I can understand you'd feel scared to be in that place. And like 5 minutes later, swear to God, man, her face changed. I can't even explain it, what happened. And we went out to dinner and it was a great night.
When you master this skill, she starts to feel safe with you, which is the foundation for rebuilding any relationship. Her unconscious brain says, this is where I wanted to unpack and stay for a while, right? This is safe, this is home. And this second step helps to keep that feeling of safety strong and lasting. Think of a fortress of security and comfort, right? That resembles the relationship. This next step is the walls of the thick bricks that make up the entire secure structure, right? Listen to Terry break it down for you.
Probably number one is make decisions for myself. And like, I remember you're going out to dinner, the 3 options, narrow it down to 2 and then pick one. So that was hard to remember at first because I would always just acquiesce. I'd be like, wherever you want to go, I didn't realize I was putting her into the decision-making process and forcing her to make a decision and, thereby in that act, losing my balls. I did not know that was the case, right? But asserting myself in those ways where I will pick a dinner. Like if something didn't come out right for dinner, instead of just saying, I don't give a shit, I actually, a handful of times now, be like, the fries are really soggy. Is there anything we can do to get new fries? Oh, sure, no problem. Things like that, where before I thought I was laid back. I don't really care. No, if we're paying $8 for French fries,
They better be crunchy.
Might as well get good French fries.
Yeah, for sure. The step here is strengthening your decisive framework. When you practice that healthy masculine leadership, stepping up to make decisions, and you start to assert yourself with love and empathy, you're feeling that protector role that she's been lacking. I'm sure you've been a good provider through all the years, but have you been protecting her heart, being unreactive to her, giving her that space of empathy so that she can be herself in, leading with love and compassion? Look, there's a book called Extreme Ownership on how U.S. Navy SEALs lead and win by Jocko Willink. It highlights the principles of taking complete responsibility and making decisive actions. It's about leadership on the battlefield, but more so the principles that can be applied to any team organization, including personal relationships. Now, a quote from the book says, leaders must own everything in their world. There is no one else to blame. The word blame is the key as well, as one of the big internal changes you must make is owning your own role in where your marriage is at, and not blaming your wife no matter how trying the situation is, right? That too is a form of leadership. Terry had no problem with that. It's what motivated him to improve himself, and it should be that way for you. But once he strengthened his decisive framework, stepping up to make practical decisions, whether about work or where to eat for dinner, just the small mundane things, and not being afraid to ask for a fresh plate of fries if yours come out soggy, that's establishing that decisive framework, and it draws her back to you again. And when you lead with love and show that healthy, masculine core nature, she is free to follow in her feminine.
She's Portuguese, she's volatile, she's loving, she's emotional. She had to have a higher masculine vibe because I didn't at those times, and I can see that now.
This leads us to the third step because we're talking about a framework here. To spark attraction in her, that deep attraction that's visceral, you need that strong foundation to hold that feminine, right? There's something you'll have to confront repeatedly. Up until now, you've been pushing this away. But the next step will help you transform it into a tool to enhance communication. Let's hear it from Terry.
The test is there. You know, what's so awesome is the tests too. I can see them. They're telegraphed now. I can pick them off now. Now I know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now I know.
And the most important part of those tests, at least for me personally, is knowing really why she does them. Right. It's all come from a place of not feeling loved.
Yeah.
Not protected, not loved.
We're talking about testing composure. Ultimately, you could see that when she is testing you, it's because you're falling off your masculine core nature. There are these core tenets of pillars of a healthy masculine man. And when you falter in one of them, whether it's like you were not a man of your word, or you weren't honest with her, or you're just hiding back your feelings, or you didn't lead her, that will react her negative feminine, and then she tests you to see if you're still the man for her, and then there's opportunity to pass that test, okay? It is the biggest opportunity to show her you are the man for her and to increase attraction. And I have a whole video at the end of this video that I recommend you click on to have a whole framework on how to pass tests specifically and why she tests. So watch it at the very end of this. Now, I mentioned at the beginning about turning a heated argument and days of silence into a heartfelt connection and conversation and a fun night out. Listen to this story from Terry.
We got a nice expensive bathtub, blah, 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 with all these little million air jets in it. So we take a bath together all the time, right? That's another one. We call it a tubby because that's what we say for our grandson. We're going to take a tubby. Yeah. Saturday night, we're taking a tubby before going out. So the jets come on. We're in there. We're talking. Then they shut off. And then like in 5 minutes, the thing wants to dry out. So it runs the jets to dry out. So you're supposed to drain the tub. Anyway, you can hit delay. I hit delay probably 5 or 6 times because we were engaged in such a deep conversation. And it was all challenging things about the relationship with my daughter, Allison, about work-related stuff, about the challenging relationships with all of our kids. And so we were there for 2.5 hours, Josh, in the fucking tub from 5:30 till almost 8 o'clock. And we were supposed to go out and go to a movie. And we ended up, we went out and went to the movie and had a great time.
And I want to add something else that will help you with all of this to really gain perspective that will change the course of your conversations with her. Have a listen.
And that's because not only were you able to not defend yourself, it sounds like, right? And a lot of times, but take it as an attack, right? I think that's the biggest thing too with a lot of guys. I'll hear the language they use. Terry's like the guys who are first in the program. They're like, oh, my wife's stabbing me, she's criticizing me and she's attacking me. And it's like, it can only hurt you if you think if the wound's already there.
Remember, you have what it takes to maintain your composure when tested, okay? Adopt the right mindset. Don't see her test as attacks, but as expressions of emotional vulnerability and hurt. You need to be stronger within yourself and to cultivate that composure. This leads to the final step that will draw her to you emotionally and physically. For Terry, this came after he started applying these first 3 steps: the contextual empathy, the decisive framework, and the testing composure. But this last step allowed his wife to see him as the confident, secure, and mature masculine man he had become. And most importantly, to trust his changes that he's made. I'll let Terry describe it here.
So other thing, big thing, really big thing.
Yeah.
She can cuddle with me and I'm not reaching for her crotch and instantly looking for sex. It's not just an invitation for sex. That's just emotional dumbness. I don't know what to say, but for me, I'd be laying beside her in bed, hoping, waiting for her to move over, waiting. Then I'd be pawing at, like, what the fuck, man? Grow the fuck up. That's how I would talk to myself now in that situation. And so now I know things are better, to answer your question, because it's not even a couple of minutes. She scooches right over and she is just boom right into my side, and we'll stay there. It's not sexual, it's emotional. It's physical.
Yeah, but it makes her feel safe to be held by you, right? And
Terry is describing something called emotional anchoring, okay? When you show that you're that safe place for her, that she can trust, feel comfort in, it goes beyond the physical, okay? It's about emotional intimacy and connection. And for us men, oftentimes we want the physical connection to feel emotionally connected, right? Which is why we want sex first. But for a woman, it's in complete reverse, okay? She needs to feel emotionally connected to you to have sex with you and to enjoy the sex. If she doesn't feel safe with the guy she's connecting with, it's like you have these spikes that are just stabbing her and she wants to get close, but when she does, she just is reminded of all the pain. And so being able to maintain that safe net of just love and leadership allows her to relax, right? That's what she's so tight and like masculine and cold, but you create that safety net that allows her to just let go and relax within your arms, physically and emotionally. In Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, there's a scene where Joel, Jim Carrey's character, and Clementine, that's Kate Winslet, are in bed together, sharing an intimate and tender moment. Clementine is emotionally vulnerable, expressing her fears and insecurities. Joel listens attentively and reassures her, providing a sense of emotional security. Now, this moment highlights the deep emotional connection and trust they share as they anchor each other in an intimate setting. Now, just like Joel and Clementine, when you create a safe space for emotional connection and shower your partner that you can be a secure anchor, you build a stronger and more intimate relationship. Now, Terry got emotional describing this part.
So these words just came out of me, Josh. I tend to think and logic and prepare and blah, 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 right? So again, another intense conversation on the couch. I don't know. I can't remember the exact content, but I know how to listen, do active listening and listen to understand. Listen to understand. That's another big takeaway. So I'm sitting there talking with her and I have to wear my glasses for reading. I wear them, so I don't normally wear them, but I put them on so I could see and focus on her face and be close to her. And I talked to her about emotional safety. And I said, my arms are the safest place for you on the planet. That's where I want you to feel loved and safe, in my arms. It just came out of me. I don't think I read that sentence anywhere or.
Now again, Terry had already made progress in turning his marriage around where he could apply emotional anchoring because there was a physical closeness involved, but his ability to be an emotional anchor for his wife at times, delaying gratification and not rushing and jumping her bones, showed high-level emotional intelligence and a maturity that solidified Terry's status as a safe place for his wife to be. If any of Terry's story resonates with you and all you're needing is some guidance and some corrective behavior to ultimately be more consistent with developing that positive emotional equity with your wife, so that tipping scale occurs where she sees you as the hero in her life and not the villain, all you need is that coaching and accountability. That's what setting up a free call, you can get the opportunity to see if we can help you on that call. We don't help every single guy, right? We are selective with who we help. You have to be fully committed, take responsibility, extreme ownership for your side of things, and be willing to be coached. If that is all there, we will give you the opportunity to join our marriage mastery program where we saved hundreds of marriages, applying my 10 plus years of experience as a therapist that found a better way to save marriages than traditional therapy when I practice it, okay? I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.